Welcome to the Search Bar, where we're talking about where users are searching in 2026. So there's so many AI platforms out there now. Of course, ChatGPT is kind of the poster child for generative AI platforms right now. And these days, marketers are talking so much about generative AI. You know, you don't hear as much about, Melissa, Google in marketing circles these days. So as we're getting into 2026, we thought we would talk about, where are users actually searching? There's a lot of platforms out there. What do you think?
Yeah, so all the data that we've seen has pointed to say that Google is still the number one place in which most people are searching. Second, and I say Google as a representation of traditional search. Second to Google then is actually social search. It is the one that I have noticed most that people tend to forget about. I think that's because it's a little complicated and you don't get as many direct metrics back from showing and appearing within those social searches in those different platforms. But it is the second most searches where searches are happening. Third, then, is actually retail search. So when I say retail search, that's actually searching on Amazon or searching on Walmart, because a lot of what we have done is we have learned out of little habits is to just go directly to Amazon and search for products that we're thinking of in the moment. And so that's actually where a lot of retail search is happening now. And then after that, then it is AI search. Then it's searching through those LLMs. And even though there's so much hype because it is so emergent and it is so new, and you'll hear like news publications and even social. And I'm sure you go to LinkedIn and you will see like lots of people talking about, GEO, AEO, SEO, like all of that. They're all one and the same. But ultimately, it's not as big as all of the hype is pronouncing it to be. But to say all of that, um, what has changed is how people are searching and how they're searching on those different platforms or within those different sections. So when we think about Google, it's people aren't searching the way that they used to before. They've kind of switched their mindset. Instead of being more of this kind of curious and explorational discovery mode when they're using Google, they're actually using it a bit more as a validator and a navigational sense. So if you're doing your owned and your earned media really well and using those channels like for, getting a lot of your information about your brand and getting people excited about your brand or letting them know about new products that you have, if you're doing that really well in a lot of channels, people then tend to go over to Google and they will search within Google to like get a little bit more validation on whether or not they want to trust the new product launch or trust you as a new brand, or just see what's going on, or just literally navigate because like they might have seen a commercial, they might have seen something on social, they might have gone to a football game and you had a tailgating party there and they remember you, but they don't know how to get to your website. So then they'll go in and just type in, Coolers Light, tailgating, da da da, this and this product. And then that's what they're doing. So there's a lot more branded search that's happening within Google than ever before. Within social search, that's where we're doing a lot of our discovery. That's where we're looking more for like, actually, okay, my favorite story that I have found throughout my past, probably like the past 3 years, is I found that more people were searching for Medicare and questions around Medicare, like what you needed to know about Medicare, in TikTok. More people searching for that in TikTok than they were in Google, which shocked me. And let's just say shocked the client that I had reported that to and they didn't believe me because they're like, it doesn't make any sense. Like TikTok is more of a like Gen Z younger platform, right?
That, yeah.
But it's where we're looking for that education, that informational, that discovery is happening more in that social realm. And then on the AI sense, what people are most searching within there is really right now, the primary thing is they just want help creating things. We're not really quite sure what to do with AI. We still trust Google as like our sense of like, that's the thing that really knows the world best. So we use that to find truth, basically. And a lot of us who are using the AIs or LLMs to do searches, we know there's a lot of hallucination. We know there's a lot of like fake information that it's going to pump out. So we don't quite trust it. So instead, we ask it to create things for us and help us create things a little bit more. We do like it to like do a lot of comparative searches. So there's a lot of like commerce type of queries that are happening within AIs and LLMs. But even with that, we still go back to Google. And so what's happening is it's not that TikTok or Amazon or, ChatGPT is taking away from Google, it's actually just adding more searches. So if we think of search as like a pie graph, right? It's not like the percentage of Google is getting taken away and moved over into ChatGPT. Instead, it's just more searches are happening because we're just doing more searches more often, just different type. We're using different platforms to do different types of searches.
It's the search behavior is changing.
Yes.
That's a good way to look at it. And it's such a good point too, because again, a lot of marketers right now are thinking a little less about Google because it's just not quite as exciting as these other new platforms. But you're right, Google's still number one, and it's still extremely important, for SEO. But Google, of course, is also becoming an LLM itself.
Yeah. I mean, we also have to consider that, Google is making strides that in the near future, maybe in 2026, that they would, instead of having your traditional, 10 blue links, which I don't even know that we can even call it that anymore because there's so many other things coming onto the SERPs, they might actually move their default to be AI mode so that you have that first before you even interact with it as the traditional, 10 blue links.
Yeah. Almost certainly that will be the default in a very short amount of time, probably just in a few months.
I mean, the other thing too, where you can see them making steps towards that, if you weren't already aware, for some of us who, and I say some of us, because I'm one of those, I usually sign up for so many of the lab experiments that Google is always up to. I always see kind of the first of things that Google's testing out and modifying on their SERPs. My Google Chrome browser, so not if I go to google.com, just my Chrome browser now has a little Gemini logo in the top right-hand corner where at any point on any website, I can go up into that and click on it and start interacting with Gemini. So their AI LLM. And within there, I can literally turn it on to look at the page. So I can say, okay, here's what I'm interested in knowing. So say I'm on a page where I want to know more about how to like color my hair at home. I can actually have Gemini go through and like summarize based on this article that I'm already reading on, birdie.com or allure.com or wherever. I can actually analyze the information there and interact with Gemini via the content that's already on the page. So it's not quite this like hallucinogen approach where it can like, I know it might give me some false information. Now I can literally say, based on the content that's in this page and the videos that these editors have already created about this topic, tell me what are the steps, or tell me, how is this going to help my budget, like by doing this at home rather than going to the salon and getting my hair done. So it is really interesting. The other thing too is that when you turn that Gemini portion on, it doesn't go away. It literally doesn't go away. I can close out the Chrome browser and that thing is still up. So I can still interact with it as if I am talking with AI at any moment of my day, even if I don't have Chrome turned on. That's a really interesting thing so that you can see where Google is starting to like try and get more behavior and habits created within their LLM platform.
Absolutely. And this is one of the reasons why we often are pushing clients, hey, invest in really great, original, unique content on your pages and not just 100 words, like put good content there. This is yet another reason to do so, because if, Gemini is doing this within Chrome, it needs, you are basically telling it what LLM you want it to use, like what's the database to use. So you need to have really great content in there, which is incredibly important. But so Google, so if you can see in this chart here, over the past 10 years, Google's usage has really been around, that 90%, 91%. It really hasn't changed that much. So again, back to your point, the pie is just getting a little bigger, but Google is still really important. And social is really important these days too. Discoverability.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we forget about that as marketers or business owners, because when you think about Google, you think about just a search bar and you search. When you think about social, you think about scrolling and just looking at different posts. But of course, you can search on social too. Yeah. And the data is showing now tons of people do it.
So many people do it. I mean, like, I am a heavy Instagram user. And when I go to search in Instagram, I will say before when I used to go and search in Instagram, I was like, why would anybody do this? Like, all I see is a post image and I got to click on it to find out if there's anything in there. Now that they've actually integrated their Meta LLM within there, it will start to generate an answer based on all the posts that are below. Those are actually really helpful.
Yeah.
They do have citation links too. So they will literally, just like ChatGPT or Google's AI mode, it will go through and give you answers if you're looking for like the, best mascaras, of right now or whatever. It will go through and list those out and actually tell you where it's bringing them from and give you a citation so you can click on it and it'll actually link you out, which Instagram like rarely does. It rarely lets you link out of anything, but you can actually click on it and get linked out.
So Google or search, so social search. And then the third one you mentioned, we often don't even think about it all as marketers, but
Retail.
search within retail.
Yep.
Yes.
Retail search. Yep.
And that's something that you've experienced a lot of.
Yep.
Many people will go to a website that or an app and look for different clothes or whatever that product might be and search within there. Happens all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure most of the audience who is listening can imagine they probably have an Amazon account, whether they have the Amazon app or they go to Amazon itself. That, think of how many times you're searching for something very specific that you were looking to buy. Like we just needed to replace some sliding doors in one of our closets. And so where did I go? I did not start with Google. I went directly to Amazon, because the other thing too that's really nice about Amazon, and again, why people start their product searches in an Amazon or a Walmart, is because of the frictionless marketing approach. I already know that I'm going to buy from one of those because I already have my, my membership within there. One of them's going to give me really fast shipping, or the other one's going to give me a price point that I know that I'm going to enjoy, or maybe I know that there are certain like brands that I really like that are on there. And so I'm just going to go there because I know it's just going to be faster. I know I'm going to have less clicks. I'm going to get through it a lot faster. So that's a frictionless approach. And so that's where we start. That tends to be the reason where we start our searches now, is we will go to the platform that we know is going to give us the best experience. And so essentially by that, I mean the most frictionless experience. So like if I want to see what's on the cusp, what people are thinking right now about, the best mascaras, I'm going to start with TikTok, or I'm going to start with Instagram. Or if I want something that is, that's more not like trend or real time based, or something that's a little bit more, from people to people type of perspective, then I might go to Amazon. If I already know what I like, I might even ask them, like in Amazon, like what are the best mascaras? And it's going to give me things based off of like ratings and reviews, you know what I mean? Like their top purchases and top products and whatnot. Whereas like Google, if I go and do that, I know I'm going to get a little bit more publisher heavy. So I might have to read a little bit more of like what it is that I'm looking for. But that might actually, I trust that a little bit more because, and when I say I mean what I've seen from user data and behavior. Us as users tend to trust that more as like our most validated source of information, because we know that there are true editors or true people who have tested those things out. So it's more of like a professional sense in traditional search, more of a real time and individual like creator sense when it comes to social. Retail is going to give you just fast purchasing opportunity. And then AI is going to give you a lot of information, and some of it you'll decide whether you want to trust or not. But it will summarize a lot really quickly for you, so you can get to an answer fastest in your AI search.
I think one of the biggest takeaways here, obviously, is don't forget about the search. Don't forget about Google, like traditional search. Google is still really big. It's really important for your brand. And then, social search as well. Organic posts are more valuable than they were 5 years ago, just before this sort of reason. Used to be pay to play, and now organic posts are kind of coming back in a way. And then obviously retail. But, when it comes to LLMs, generative AI, it's the wave of the future also. So you have to keep an eye on those.
Yeah. And I would say the reason that there is so much hype around, again, people calling it GEO or AEO or AIO and whatnot, is because that one's so much more complicated for people to figure out, because it is so much more nuanced. It is not the same as traditional SEO. You do have to think about YouTube. You do have to think about like what types of videos, what types of images, what types of shorts, what are you doing in social? What are you doing in your feeds? Like you have to think about
Reddit.
Yeah, you have to think about all of these other places. Like how many places are you getting mentioned? What types of citations are you linked within? What's the authority level? What's your brand sentiment? All of those things come into play when it comes to LLMs and AI search, because inside AI search, it has the cognitive ability to do so much more computation very quickly compared to what would normally happen in a traditional like Google search or a social search and whatnot. So that is a reason why it's getting a lot more hype and why you'll see, AEO and GEO coming up, because it is a bit different.
It's a lot to wrap your head around as a marketer or business owner, but we always encourage, stay curious about it. Don't let it overwhelm you. Just be interested in it and do your best to enjoy the journey to learn more and the process and everything, because, none of us will ever understand it all perfectly. And it is interesting how it continues to change and evolve. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. If Melissa or I or both of us can ever speak at your marketing event, we speak at a lot of conferences, we're happy to do so. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. And also, please like the video, subscribe to our channel. It really helps out our channel a lot. Thanks. We'll talk to you next time.